Բարի եկեք հարգելի Տեկյան մշակութային միության արցանց հայդակիրներու հետևողներ։ Այսօր մեր հյուրը երիտասարդ անձնավորություն է, որ մեզ կմիանա հայրենիքեն. This will be a mostly bilingual presentation. Our guest is a young person from Armenia who's been born in Lebanon, and he has a degree, engineering degree from McGill University in Montreal. And then he continued his education in getting an MBA from Molson School of Business in Montreal, a well-known MBA degree. Afterwards, our guest continued his career in financial fields in Toronto as well as in Montreal, and he was CEO, financial officer, chief financial officer of numerous companies, which he made them successful, after which, after a successful financial career in Canada, he decided 3 years ago to move to Armenia. Our guest is Garen Mikirditsian from Armenia. He's joining us. He is fluent in 3 languages: Armenian, French, and English. He's been stationed in Yerevan for 3 years. He's married and he's got 4 children. Garen, Pariyegar. Շնորհակալ եմ, որ ընդունեցիր մեր հրավերը. I don't know if I introduced you well. You could maybe elaborate what I have missed, and then we will continue with our interview.
I grew up in Lebanon. I like that Arto. I studied in Montreal, then moved to Toronto in finance, and it's been a very interesting experience moving to Armenia. In fact, 5 years ago, we moved in 2015, and it's never been boring, to say the least. It's been a very challenging but also very interesting experience. Essentially, maybe I can just a few words on my career in Armenia. So after a career in finance and also managing an aerospace machining company in Toronto, which we later sold to a US firm, I had other projects in Toronto with the same investment group that I was working with. But in a way, we thought that moving to Armenia was going to be an interesting experience, to say the least, both for ourselves and our kids, that it was a very safe country, that there was good education for the kids, but also we kind of wanted to move away from the duality of identity of a diaspora in Armenian, kind of be on the land and build on the land. Despite the fact that we knew that there were going to be challenges, we made that decision. I'm very fortunate that my wife also, Sanan, was very supportive of that decision. And so we wanted to move, and the group that I was working with, many of you guys may know them, Varej and George Armoyan out of Halifax, also kind of comforted me in the sense that they thought that I was initially like doing a crazy thing, but they were very supportive of that move. And also one of them, Varej, supports me still today in the endeavors that we have in terms of investment management in Armenia.
Before, yeah, go ahead.
So initially, I was CFO of Ineco Bank in Armenia, which is a commercial bank, one of one of top five commercial banks in Armenia. Then the government asked me to manage and run a government agency called the Development Foundation of Armenia. This was back in 2016-17. That whose main task was to promote Armenia as an investment destination, and also to encourage exports, and also some tourism development. I did that for a year. It was a hugely interesting experience. It gave me a lot of a good insight into a number of industries and a number of good connections in Armenia. But the government culture in Armenia was not mine, to put it mildly. So I left the government, and I decided to establish my own investment management company, Riviera Capital, because even at that time I saw opportunities for investment, that if done right, if researched right, you could find investment opportunities in Armenia, and with the right team and approach, a professional approach, that you could succeed in Armenia. I also wanted to create an entity that could eventually become a sort of vehicle for diasporans to invest in Armenia, and
Yes.
in that way also connect those two entities in an efficient way, not only in terms of bringing in finance, but also know-how and access to markets. So that's what I've been doing in the last 3 years, since 2017, and we've made good progress so far.
Yes, Garen, I really admire in these difficult times in Armenia and the diaspora, where everybody is kind of discouraged and they are throwing the towel on the ring. You took 5 years ago, you say, the initiative of leaving a highly paid uh, opportunities in Canada, and you took your knowledge, your baggage back to Armenia to prosper even more. You had backers probably, as you say, but you have done a huge step in your life, and this is admirable. And this is, I would like to use it as a role model for others to follow your path, because we have opportunities now in Armenia that you, as an expert in the finances and turning over businesses and restructuring businesses, with your experience, you're seeing possibilities of investment and uh, doing bringing return to investors. Now, before going further, as I mentioned, we're facing hard times in Armenia and in the diaspora. That the war that we witnessed was devastating for all of us, including Armenia. I know that there is no perfect world in uh, it doesn't exist a perfect world, but Armenia has quite few challenges. Let's elaborate on that fact a little bit, and the financial branch of those difficulties, and then we'll proceed with the good news that what you are doing in Armenia, how successful you became, and what are your expanding prospects that you could present to our viewers.
Sounds good. Appreciate the words of the compliment, Arto. Um, I'm not a hero. I'm not a missionary. I wanted to move to Armenia to have an experience, interesting life. And also, it does help that you take satisfaction in doing something in Armenia that it gives meaning to your life in a way. Um, Plus, it helps that you see your kids growing up Armenian. It's easier to be so in Armenia, and it's a personally it's a very interesting experience, very educating as well. And now to your point, um, it is very tough times, both in Armenia, I think, and for many Armenians across the world. I think the challenges that we're facing as a nation are enormous, and I think uh, that calls for a revisiting of all our assumptions and premises that we've been living with in the last 30 years as a nation. We really need a new kind of vision. We need new leaders to unite us all, and to be frank with ourselves, and to note that there's a lot of work to be done. I'm not really pleased with the situation in Armenia. I'll be honest with you. I won't go into details, obviously, but we need to change things, and we need a lot of work, a lot of hard work in unison. I don't want to simplify things, but sometimes I look at running a country as running a company. Obviously, there's a lot of other issues in a country than running a company. But there's a few common aspects. One is, I would say, a vision. So, um, you know, any company, any team that's working at a successful company has to have a vision in order to rally the people around that vision and lead them towards success. I think as a nation, we're lacking that right now, and it's imperative that we come together uh, to figure that out. What do we want? What do we want to be in 50 years? How do we, what we should be doing to get to that vision, to realize that vision. So I think that's critical. I think we've lacked that in the past few decades. I think there were groups like Armenia 2020 that tried to do that, but
Yes.
no government has really clarified and united the people behind such a vision. And the other thing is management. I think, especially in Armenia, I think there's huge lack of management, especially at government levels. And the last war has shown that what kind of tragedy that can actually result in. So running a country, hopefully, our leadership our national pan-Armenian leadership will recognize that, and we will figure out our way out of this together. Um,
Well,
and,
Garen,
and that, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, uh, I share your views that there is a lot to do, but I also emphasize the fact that we shouldn't sit idle, which which is what you're doing.
Mhm.
You're seeing maybe opportunities. You're seeing a potential. The apple is there to be picked up. Uh, the ripe apples are really accessible right now in Armenia. We should uh, benefit from that opportunity, bring uh, Western mentality of doing business, which you are well armed with your degrees, diplomas, and experience, particularly experience, turning over businesses which have difficulties, and uh, acting or being a good example for us to support initiatives like yours to help Armenia uh, rebuild Armenia. And on behalf of Tekean, I would like to extend my appreciation because our as patriots or nationalist people who think about the well-being of Armenia, you're a pioneer and you're doing that. Now let's talk about uh, uh, your being in the government and then leaving and going to on your own business in Armenia. What have you achieved during these 3 4 years?
Yeah, so my stint in government was quite an interesting experience in many respects. Um, we actually did, I think, quite a lot of work. We organized the first investment forum in New York City back in October of 2016, which kind of put Armenia on the map in terms of an investment destination. We also organized other investment fora, one in Abu Dhabi in 2017 in Emirates Palace with the major support of the UAE government. We also did one in France in 2017 as well. And I did see that there was investment opportunities in Armenia, but the system itself really didn't encourage at that time, in my view, a major investment there. Um, uh, but during 2017, I saw reforms happening in Armenia in terms of the economic reforms taking place. And when I left at that time, I also saw opportunities to an opportunity to look for projects in Armenia, because in a way, a lot of industries in Armenia are still primitive in their development, and part of it has been the reason. The reason has been that uh, until recently there were monopolies in Armenia, informal monopolies,
Yes.
and there were also inefficient practices. Um, and I saw that if you were to come into Armenia with a good team of managers and kind of focus on what we really take for granted in the West, which is focusing on quality, customer service, efficiency, that you could have an edge in the local economy and grow a business quite fast. I also saw some opportunities to bring in novelty. So in terms of products, in terms of services into Armenia, and we saw opportunities, and we started looking for specific projects, and we our original business that we helped create was a bakery, a bread company called Golden Bakery, with the support of a non-Armenian UAE Lebanese investor that trusted us, who trusted us, and who put in the initial investment. And we started it back in early 2019, and it's been a very successful business so far. We're now present in all markets, and that was our kind of our original project. Afterwards, we acquired a small cheese producing company
That
called
was,
Milko.
sorry to interrupt, was that a new start or it was an acquisition?
Milko was an acquisition. Golden Bakery was an original venture. And so Milko is the only producer of halloumi cheese, of Middle Eastern and Balkan cheese in Armenia, and it's growing fast. And we also want to look for export markets for that type of cheese. Milko uses 100% natural milk. There's no additives, nothing, and so we want to grow that brand as a natural, healthy cheese variety, looking for exports to both the post-Soviet space and also Arab countries. We also invested in agriculture. We see a lot of opportunity in agriculture as well, because we see a lot of mismanagement in that sector in Armenia. We helped establish an agro asset management company called Evergreen Agro Asset Management, who is ran by a colleague of mine, Sevan Artin from the UK, who's moved to Armenia 2 years ago as well. And so those are the investments that we've made so far. The sectors that we look at are sectors where we see both a competitive advantage that Armenia has to offer, and also opportunities where we see that we have a value add. So, for example, in high tech, there's a lot of opportunity in Armenia, obviously, but we don't see that as space where we can add much value. We look at more operational companies. The sectors that we look at are food processing, agriculture, real estate development. We used to look at hospitality and leisure. Obviously, this is not probably the best time to look at that sector, but we are hopeful that that sector will come back as well.
Yes.
We also look at manufacturing opportunities, provided that we have a sound business plan and a good know-how of where the manufactured product will be sold to.
So in other words, Garen, in other words, you are starting new businesses or getting extending a helping hand to existing businesses to enhance, to improve, to manage better in a better ways, Western ways, be competitive, have the best product, and have a return for the investor. Now, what is the? I mean, you should have investors backing you, and they are getting returns, probably positive returns. Naturally, that implies good management, supervision, on-hand presence in these investments that you have done. So you're supervising. So tell us how are these things done, and how many jobs did you create while you started this venture of 3 years ago, let's say?
Mhm. Um, our model is indeed based on the private equity investment model, very prevalent in the West, which is to ensure profitability and good results, financial results through strong management and incenting the management teams. Uh, and that's the model that we're applying to Armenia. Now, compared to the West, where there's a lot of depth in those markets, Armenia is a small country with a newly developing economy. So we've kind of tailored that model to Armenia, whereby we look at SME companies to invest in and to back management that's looking to expand and that needs financing to invest in new factories or working capital. But we also look for opportunities to starting new ventures or teams that want to start a new venture in Armenia. And the reason for that is that you don't have that many opportunities in Armenia for investment, where you see what we look for is, first of all, a strong business model that's realistic. We also look for experienced management with integrity. That's also sometimes an issue in Armenia. So, so there's not that many opportunities for the traditional private equity model. Therefore, we kind of, and also it's an emerging country where you have a lot of opportunities. So we've tailored the model to have both private equity type investments and also new ventures, kind of backing teams to start new ventures in the sectors that I mentioned earlier. Now, to your point, we think that success should be based on professional management, on a team that has a work ethic that's professional and that reflects integrity. So we're very picky with respect to the investments that we make. And once we make those investments, we also support the companies both financially, but also with a lot of governance support and also quite intrusive oversight, because we want to make sure that the financial picture that we're seeing and also that we're relaying to our investors, we're reporting to our investors, are right on. So, and we think that that kind of oversight and also governance support actually helps companies. For example, we bring a structure to our portfolio companies. Uh, we initially support them if it's a venture. We support them during the growth period, but we also have a governance set up whereby we receive monthly reports, monthly financial reports, and we have monthly management meetings with the company management. And we also set annual budgets and targets. So it's a very regimented structure that actually helps them grow. And we put quite ambitious targets for growth, but we also provide the financial means and resources for those companies to grow. There are many good opportunities in Armenia, strong teams as well, who want to start projects. Sometimes they lack the resources, financial resources, because we think that financing a growing company that needs working capital with bank loans makes no sense. So equity investment is really what's needed in Armenia right now in order to partner with these teams and help them grow rather than stifle the growth with bank loans and principal repayments and all that. I think this is the right time for equity investment in Armenia. The key is to ensure that the management and the oversight is being done in a transparent way, that investors have confidence that things are being done right, that the managers are taking their fiduciary duties seriously, and obviously there's always risk, but I think mitigating those risks through professional management and good oversight is really what's needed right now, and we're seeing interesting results. I don't want to go into the financial kind of results of our companies right now, but I can say that, for example, both Milko and Golden Bakery, uh, we've seen sales growth across the pandemic, through the war, because we were very nimble and flexible in kind of reorienting ourselves, working hard, let's say, to move from Horeca to retail during those times. And our results are self-explanatory in that sense. Also, agriculture, we're seeing good results. We've had one harvest so far, and we're looking forward to have increased yields this summer in July.
Garen, you were talking about projects. Riviera Capital has a small video which I would like to share, if you don't mind. Let's go and see the video.
Armenia is an emerging country with great growth potential, and what we're aiming at is to enable investors to participate in attractive investment opportunities in the country. is to secure profitable investments for investors, but also to catalyze and support the growth of well-run, productive, and socially responsible companies in Armenia.
Ուրեմն դեսանք թե ինչպես այս երեք օրինակները հարյուրավոր seasonal աշխատանքներ կստեղծեն. You're creating permanent jobs and seasonal jobs as well. I congratulate Riviera Capital and your initiative in creating that opportunity. And by doing so, Garen, as you mentioned, you're creating opportunities to diasporans like us to put some of our retirement investments in Armenia, and why not make money? Now, in the past, we had the thought of giving, donating, helping, extending a hand. It was only giveaways. Now, where you come in the picture is creating an opportunity for us diasporans to put some money as an investment to get a return. And this is how an economy should act and work, by creating jobs and not losing money all the time. Making money with sound and profitable companies will be the future for Armenia. And I would like that you elaborate on that with your financial background.
Very true, Arto. What you're noting is, and kind of connecting that with the challenges that we're facing as a nation. There's no way out of this unless we really develop a competitive, strong, resilient economy in Armenia. And the way to do that is to not only create jobs, but also establish and grow and nurture competitive companies. At the end of the day, if we're going to survive as a nation in this difficult part of the world without access to sea, we need to have companies that create products and services that are globally competitive. And the only way to do that is to be efficient in running your businesses, but also to focus on quality processes, ensuring that you have standard, consistent quality and products that you can export globally. And in that process, I think the diaspora has a huge role to play. It's unfortunate that former governments in Armenia haven't really appreciated the potential and that diaspora can bring in. And this is not only about finances. It's not about money. It's more importantly, I'd say, it's about know-how, both technical know-how, but also management know-how. And it's also about networks and access to markets. In fact, our aim at Riviera Capital is to contribute to economic development and develop a competitive economy, but also become a vehicle of sort. And I wish that others do this as well, is to become a vehicle between the diaspora and Armenia and other investors, non-Armenian investors who are looking to make profitable investments in Armenia, in order to bring in the financial resources needed to develop those companies, but also to connect people together and companies with diasporans who may have a know-how that we lack in Armenia, and kind of bring them in as consultants or experts or as partners, create joint ventures that make those things possible, but also to look for markets overseas, whereby diaspora Armenians who have businesses and are present in different markets can bring in products and encourage exports from Armenia. But the prerequisite for that is that you have a partner in Armenia, a company that can reliably furnish those quality products, and that the quality and the standard is consistent. Otherwise, that cooperation is not possible. So our aim is to kind of be an example of sorts for that if cooperation to finally take place effectively between the diaspora and Armenia. And another note on profitability. You know, a lot of people, you mentioned donations. A lot of people look at making investments that, you know, are not necessarily profitable. Our view is that in order for our impact to be sustainable and for that investment to be self-growing, you really need to focus on profitability. The aim is to make money for investors, but also to make that effort sustainable. And you can't do that unless that company and that investment is efficient and it's sustainably efficient. And in a way, that the profitability aspect is is the basis for that kind of aim to have sustainable and fast-growing impact in Armenia.
Well, definitely you need profitability and sustainability means that the investor should not only put money, there should be a reward behind it. And this is what you're acting as a facilitator for such an opportunity. Now, the thing is that in this scenario, we have only winners. The economy, Armenia's economy becomes a winner. The people who are employed on having permanent jobs, not fishy, artificial, on donation-based jobs. Eventually, the investor gets a return out of it, and you as managers showing an integrity and transparency encourage those investments to be attracted to Armenia and to be profitable for you as well. This is a win-win-win-win-win scenario which you're creating, and I really believe in this model where the diaspora, with its knowledge and deep pockets, can be part of your success story. Now, Riviera Capital can be seen, you can check what Riviera Capital is doing in Armenia. It is, I think, I hope, Garen, that it is just a humble beginning which will expand. And I know that you have planned phases of expanding this, the opportunity that you're creating. I am aware that your second phase of investments is already booked. So I encourage with these some good news from Armenia to have a look at Riviera Capital. Garen has a professional board of directors, managing team, supervisors. He's directing these operations and, as he mentioned, monthly audits and inspections and so on. So I encourage our viewers to have a look at Riviera Capital, and if they are interested in having part of the pie, let's say, to get in touch with Garen. His site, Riviera Capital, could be found easily. So this is a beginning, as I call, of getting some good news through you, Garen. And I want to conclude this interview, maybe having a last word and mentioning where to reach you, how to get in touch with you, what we can do, and let's conclude with this positive note.
Sounds good, Arto. Thank you. Just as a note, my career in investment banking and investment management has taught me to be aware of disclaimers about forward-looking statements, and I just want to note that risk, obviously there's risk out there, and we've seen the events in the past few months, and so I can't guarantee results, but what I can guarantee is that our team and myself will diligently work. We'll do our best to ensure that we're taking our fiduciary responsibilities responsibly, and we're doing everything to make sure that we're doing things right. Just on that note, I just want to put that as a disclaimer, obviously. The second thing is that what you mentioned is very true, Arto, in terms of employment and permanent employment. I want to kind of connect all of this to kind of some personal stories. For example, Golden Bakery, we started with 7 employees about a year and a half ago. And then at the time of that video, we were 10 employees. Now we're 12 employees. We're looking at opening a retail store, kind of a point of sale for our products. That should employ another 6, 7 minimum employees. And it's important to note that these are, we think and we believe that these are sustainable jobs. And we also kind of relay that to our employees. None of our investment companies, we haven't had a single turnover over the past year and a half, even during the pandemic and the war. And that says something about the culture that we're trying to establish at those companies, where we want to train our employees. We want them to be part of that team for the long run. And the result of that is that our employees take that also personally. And I'll just give you an example. The bookkeeper at one of our companies, 3 months after he got hired, got married, and now they had a baby recently. And that's the reason for that is that he had faith in the growth of that company, and he had faith in the sustainability of his job. And in a way, that's what we're trying to achieve, and on a micro level. And on a macro level, what we want to do is help and contribute to the development of a competitive economy in Armenia. That's the only way we're going to face the challenges that this country faces. And we have faith in the fact that we can prevail, that we can prosper, that we can become stronger. We've done that over 3,000 years or what. There is no reason we can't do it again. But I think the prerequisite there is unity of purpose and coming together with the right vision and the right approach. And to your point, we're doing this in Armenia, but in reality, this is a team effort. We have to come together, both in terms of investors, the team here, the companies, the board, the experts from diaspora, people who want to buy products from Armenia. So this is a team effort. We can't do this single-handedly. We got to be together to get through this.
Ուրեմն հայերենով ավարտենք, շնորհակալ եմ Գարեն, մեկ երկու խոսք ալգսես հայերենով եւ գավարտենք, ցեզի մեզ անհատներ պետք ունենք սպիրկյան, որ սպիրկի գիտելիքներով օժտված գերտան հայրենիք եւ գծագացնեն հայրենիքը, շատ ջամփա ունենք հայրենիքի մեջ ունելու, բայց ժամանակ չունենք գործընծնելու, այն անհատները, որ գպապակին գապ բայել Գարենին հետ խնդրեմ, Riviera Capital հետևեցեք իրենց հաջողություններուն, ուրեմն Գարեն, վերջին խոսքը։
Ուզեի ասել, որ շատ շնորհակալություն Արտո Արիքին համար, իրապես երբեմն մարդոց կանտիբիս, որոնք գրեթե նույն դեսլագան ունին, կամ շատ բաներ կբաժնեն, շատ հաճելի էր քեզի դրանտանալ նախ եւ առաջ։ Անգեզատ պիտի ուզեի ասել, որ այսին խոսեցա, որ աս բոլորը մենք կրնանք հաղթահարել իրականության մեջ, ունենք այդ ներուժը ասկովին, բայց պետք է ադիգա միացնենք, այսինքն ինչպես ընկերություն կաշխատի օր ու ցերեկ միասին հաջողցնելու բանը, նույնը մենք ասկովին պետք է փորձենք անել եւ գասկացությունին, որ եթե ադիգա անենք, շատ բաներ կրնանք հաջողցնել, բաներ, որ հիմա չենք երևակայել, որ կրնանք անել իրականություն։ ուրիշ օրինակներ կան, ուրիշ ասկերու, որոնք անգարելի գարի թափսած են, պատճառ չի կա, որ մենք հաճի գտնենք։ Պիտի ուզեի նաև ասել, որ ընդհանուր առմամբ սպյուրքի օգնությունը եւ կարողականությունը օգտագործել շատ կարևոր է, բայց նաև նույնքան կարևոր է կգարձեմ ֆիզիկական ներկայությունը Հայաստանի մեջ։ Այսինքն, ասել չէ որ մարդիկ պետք է կան ոստեղ ապօրինի կյանքերին հոս անցնեն, բայց եթե գտնան իրենց կյանքեն քանի մդարի Հայաստան կան, հոս ապրիլ, հոս իրական իրենց contribution-ը բերել, գաբերը հաստատել, վեճը դուրս ելնել, նորեն ուժեղանալ, նորեն փորձառություն ցկել, ետ գալ, կարծեմ որ ադիգա շատ կարևոր է Հայաստանի թե բացվելուն դեպի աշխարհ, բայց նաև որովհետեւ մենք արդեն մեկ ազգ դառնանք, որովհետեւ երբեմն գսենք մեկ ազգ, մեկ հայրենիք, բայց ադիգա առանց միսի եւ ոսկորի չլար, միայն խոսելով չլար ադիգա, պետք է կողքովի կանք իրարու հետ տեսնենք, իրարու հետ կորձնենք, հասկանանք իրարու Հայաստանցին, Բասկահայը, Լիբանանահայը, Ֆրանսիահայը, Կանադահայը, Արգենտինայը, Ամերիկահայը, աս բոլորը ռուսահայը պետք է կողքովի կան, որ իրական բամը ստեղծելի իրական միությունը։
Ուրեմն Գարեն, շատ շնորհակալ եմ, դու առաջինն ես, որ այս պատերազմեն հետո թրական լուրերով եւ նյութով գերեվաս մեր հայդակիներում մեջ, ես կխոստանամ, որ եթե հետևիկ մեր հաջորդ հաղորդումներուն, բավական լավ լուրերով ներկայացումներ պիտի ունենամ ես, որովհետև ուրախ լուրը այն է, որ սպիրկը թմրած, ծմկած վիճակի մեջ է, սակայն չեք երևակայել որքան խումբեր կան, որ ստեղծված են եւ ադոնց մտահոգ հայրենասեր խումբեր դարբեր ջուղերու մեջ, որոնց ներդրումը կամ իրենց աշխատանքը շուտով մեջտեղ պիտի կա, ես կխոստանամ լավ լուրերով ուրիշ հաղորդումներ ևս ունենալ, շնորհակալություն կհայտնեմ Գարեն, keep it strong, make it bigger and more successful, and I am sure you will attract investors like a magnet. Հաջողություն քեզի։
Շնորհակալություն։
Ցտեսություն։
Ցտեսություն։